9. Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
A few weeks ago, we embarked on a journey to a new world. We charted a course for the future of the meetings industry. Today, we're making new contacts, exploring new technologies, and discovering new ways to engage and connect with our audiences. You are about to experience a vision of what this world can be. Engaging content delivered in a fast-paced, collaborative way, connecting your audiences, reaching through the screen with a personal touch. This isn't a webinar, it's a transformation. Together, we will make contact, because this is Mission Critical.
Okay, we checked all 4 systems and
Hey everybody, this is Joe Lara, founder of the Knowledge Exchange and executive producer and creator of Mission Critical, welcoming you to our second episode from literally 100 stories above Manhattan. Right now I'm standing, metaphorically at least, on top of the world. Not only did we make history with our last episode, we had almost 6,000 viewers, and we had over 40,000 web impressions, but now here we are in Midtown Manhattan for episode 2 at the brand new Edge in Hudson Yards. As I said, we're over 100 stories above the city. Now, before I get into too much on the venue, I will tell you, you'll notice I'm not wearing a mask right now. I am shooting solo. Anytime I'm around people, I am following all mask laws and precautions here in the city. Now, with that out of the way, back to these incredible, breathtaking views. As you can see from the Edge, we're surrounded in 360-degree panorama by views of the city to the outer boroughs, to New Jersey, all the way up north, to Westchester and the George Washington Bridge, and even out to Pennsylvania on a clear day. On top of that, there's also a section of the Edge here that is a glass triangle built into the floor, where you can actually see 100 stories down for the thrill seekers, if you dare, which I do not. Anyway, with that said, we're going to go right now for a little bit more information to some of our friends from the Edge. I don't know about you, but I prefer to enjoy the stunning views here in a little bit of air conditioning with a little bit of liquid courage on the side. Anyway, I'm going to be coming to you throughout the episode from different spots here within Hudson Yards, so you can actually see it for yourself. In the meantime, I'm going to turn it over to John Williams, the president of American Guest USA. John produces top-notch programs and is the leader of one of the most amazing event concierge teams, working with companies around the globe as the extra muscle, the extra know-how, and the extra expertise to get their programs off perfectly every time. John's going to be sitting down for an in-depth discussion with one of the top hospitality analytical companies anywhere to be found. They have 7 offices around the globe, a reach of hundreds of thousands of hotel properties, and the true pulse of the market. Ladies and gentlemen, here's John Williams again with Smith Travel Research. Take it away, John.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is John Williams, President of American Guest. Thank you, Joe, for that great segment over at Edge NYC. We are now 100 levels below Joe on ground level. For those who don't know our next segment, it is STR. They were founded in 1985 and are a data-driven marketplace for the global hospitality sectors with hotels. We were scheduled to have Amanda Height, president of STR, with us today, but unfortunately she had a scheduling conflict. In her place is Jan Freitag, senior vice president of Lodging Insights with STR. Welcome to Mission Critical Live, Jan.
Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Sure. What we'd like to know is a couple of things about what is going on in the U.S. market for starters. Occupancy, ADR. What regions are better right now, and any insight as to why?
So the short answer is life is tough. Life is tough everywhere, except that things are getting slowly better. In April, we recorded the steepest RevPAR decline ever. It was the worst month, and the week of April the 11th was the worst week we've ever recorded. So RevPAR declined in April by 80%, in May only quote unquote by 70%. In June, the data that just came out, RevPAR was down 60%. So we're seeing what people are referring to as green shoots overall in the industry, but it is very, very much regional, and it is very, very much distributed by class. What I mean by that is that the lower end is doing quite a bit better. So economy hotels last week had an occupancy of over 50%, but full service hotels, upper upscale hotels, and luxury hotels still only are selling 30% of their inventory. And this is all driven by the leisure traveler.
Right,
this is all
which is
by
going within the marketplace and where you can drive to.
Correct, exactly.
Right. Okay. And can you tell us about, you were talking about the ADR trends in the U.S. and how does that look versus like the European marketplace or China for that matter at this time?
So keep in mind that Europe, France, Germany, Italy, Spain were completely shut down. That never happened here. So the occupancies were literally in the single digits in Europe and in China and are now coming back from that. Room rates are recovering in Europe quite well. In China, unfortunately, the ADR recovery has a little bit stalled out. So for the last couple of weeks, we haven't seen a lot of movement there. And in the US, there is ADR improvement. But again, this is driven by the low rate properties. So they're not these huge leaps and bounds.
Okay. And would you say, I mean, based on what you're just saying here, would the US stand on its own in its model, or is the European Union, as you know, with all those countries, an early predictor of how the US will recover from all this?
Well, unfortunately, we have 50 governors and 50 quote unquote petri dishes.
Yes, we do.
Right.
Yep.
And so it's very, very hard to say that that the US will be one trajectory. It's going to be 50 different trajectories. But yes, I think it is fair to say that as the coronavirus increases and hopefully decreases, that will aid recovery on the leisure side and then hopefully on the corporate transient side and then eventually on the corporate group side.
Okay. And with us today, we have a lot of people that do a lot of business in that higher category, that 4 stars, 5 stars. And you were talking before about the lower sector and that particularly performing, I wouldn't say well, but better than the other sectors right now. Is it because of that, like you said, is it because of the driving, or is it because of rate or availability for occupancy? Can you give us a little bit further insight into that?
Yeah, it's really because of the leisure traveler that he or she takes their own car to the destination, because there is simply no group demand to speak of. People are just very skittish how to have a meeting in our 6-foot world, in a COVID environment. So we just don't have any. And corporate demand is slowly coming back. We're seeing more people flying midweek, but that number is also not increasing rapidly. So it's really all about the leisure drive-to markets.
Okay, so however much you can put in your tank of gas and how long it's going to take you to get there, and there you are. It's sticking back with the U.S. Major markets versus secondary markets. Any insight to how they're doing? If I understand, I saw a recent webinar that you did, it was talking about out west, Montana, the Dakotas, and elsewhere that were performing well versus maybe the main markets. Any insight into there?
Yeah, in the top 25 largest lodging markets, we're actually seeing 13% of rooms are closed temporarily. So there really isn't a whole lot of demand, and it's hard for owners to keep their hotels open. You're correct. Last week, South Dakota, Wyoming, Idaho saw the highest occupancy in the 60% range. That, of course, is leisure driven in the summer markets.
Oh, sure.
Very, very curious to see what happens after Labor Day. What happens when people are back to school, either virtually or for real, and if what happens to the corporate traveler then, and will that lift the top 25 markets?
And I think you spoke about it, what happens with school. It's all going to relate on then how the rest of this industry can recover in come September or August for the southern states that are supposed to go back in August. And being at Montana, these other states where you have all that space, they can then handle that occupancy, which is so good for them. And in other places like in New York or Chicago or Miami that are more dense, it's tougher to do that. And I do want to say, I appreciate your time, and please tell Amanda, thank you for getting you on board with us as well. It was a pleasure to have you here on Mission Critical Live. And for a lot of those who are waiting for our next segment, I'm happy to introduce one of my favorite country music stars, John Rich, live from Nashville. Now, over to you, John.
Okay, we checked all 4 systems.
Hey, John, thank you for the kind introduction. I appreciate it. I'm John Rich, everybody, and it's nice to come to you, at least virtually. I know we're in a tough predicament right now. My whole world and yours too depends on crowds of people, and that's not happening right now. But I think these kind of meetings are important because one of these days it's going to open back up, and I think continuing to build relationships with each other and plan for the future is important. And America is going to come out in full force whenever this thing is finally under control, and we got to be ready for it. So Redneck Riviera, my bar downtown in Nashville, it's a place I'm really proud of. We stand for a lot of important things. We love our military, our veterans, our first responders. Matter of fact, when you walk in the front door of my bar, the big main bar on that first floor is called the Heroes Bar. And if you're a veteran or active duty or a first responder, our bartenders and servers know to treat those people like royalty, because they are. They get buy one, get ones. They get all kinds of cool stuff from Redneck Riviera, so they know how much we appreciate them. Without our active duty and vets securing the American dream over all this time, guys like me wouldn't be able to be an entrepreneur, play guitars for a living, or do anything that I love to do with my life, and neither would you. So we make a big deal about that, as we should. And I love to do stuff down at the bar, but right now, since we can't, I'm actually doing a lot of stuff virtually. So kind of like what we're doing right here, join people live, bring a guitar, talk about stuff, talk about songwriting, the music business, entrepreneurism, and then sing, a bunch of hit country songs and have fun, drink a little Redneck Riviera whiskey with them, have a little cocktail session. So if that's something you're interested in, get a hold of Jennifer, get a hold of Liz, and let's book it. Because guess what I'm doing? Nothing. I'm sitting home. I'm ready to have some fun and hang out with some new people, even if it's virtually. Ready to go. So keep me in mind for that, all right? All right, let's sing a little country song. What do you think? Here's a song about whiskey. Since we're talking about a bar, and I have a whiskey, this is drinking responsibly, right? This is a whiskey song about drinking responsibly. It's called Let Somebody Else Drive. It goes like this. I heard it on the radio at 6 o'clock news. They said you better not drive if you've been on the booze. The sheriff was on TV, shaking his hand, said we're really cracking down. You better understand if you get on the whiskey. Hey, if you get on the whiskey, yeah. Son, if you get on the whiskey, let somebody else drive. drinking if you're driving your car and you get on the whiskey. Hey, if you get on the whiskey, yeah. Hey, if you get on the whiskey, let somebody else drive. Oh, now if you get on the whiskey, son, if you get on the Redneck Riviera whiskey, if you get on the whiskey, let somebody else drive. How about that? That's an oldie but a goodie. Hey, you guys have a great time and stay tuned because I'm going to see you a little later in this show. Maybe sing another song, check back in. It's good to be with you. God bless y'all. Enjoy the rest of this.
04 and King with go. Roger, you're loud and clear here also.
That was awesome, John. Thank you for your inspiring words and performance. More from John Ridge later in the show. I'm Debbie Garcia, founder of Versatour, an online solution for virtual site tours. We are here at the Noel, a tribute profile hotel in Nashville, Tennessee. We had a few moments to take a look around so we can give you a glimpse of some of the wonderful things happening here in Nashville. Versatour.com. That's VIRSITOUR.com for more information and follow us on all the socials. Nashville has been one of the top destinations for meetings and events for the past few years, and HSMAI, the Hospitality Sales and Marketing Association International Tennessee Chapter President, Phil Burgess, wanted to say a quick hello.
Hey, thank you so much, Debbie. We want to send a message out to all the meeting planners that are watching today that our hotels are open for business here in Tennessee, from Gatlinburg and Knoxville to Memphis and here in Music City and Nashville. We just want you to know that we are good to go and we want you back. And we just want to give you some applause and appreciate all that you do for us. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Come back.
All right. Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks, Phil. We are all excited to welcome y'all back soon. Nashville is always a great option for meetings, events, and incentives. Up next, we have our amazing planner panel. Giovanni, take it away.
04 and King with a go. Roger, you're loud and clear here also.
Hello, I'm Giovanni Lavera. I'm live right here from Orlando, Florida, and what a joy it is to be with this wonderful panel discussion of meeting professionals the leaders here. It's Janae Henderson with RBC Capital Markets. We have Nicola, it's Kastner, and she's with SAP. She is the VP Global Head of Event Marketing Strategy. And Suzanne Shaw, Executive Director, Yale University Conference and Events. Ladies, welcome to Mission Critical.
Thank you.
So great that you're here. Okay, I have some questions for you. Transformation is on everybody's mind. And since March, how has your meeting delivery transformed, and how are you creating transformational experiences for your audiences? Suzanne, we'll go to you first.
Okay, well, practically overnight, we've all had to become experts on issuing and implementing virtual events. We are solution advisors as event planners naturally. So we just naturally jumped into this and are able to offer innovative and creative solutions for those who want to run events. And virtual events has been an emerging trend before the pandemic. So I feel like the pandemic pushed it to the forefront. And virtual events offers a broader and global and sometimes more affordable and accessible reach to many. So I feel like there is a silver lining in which we all can grab.
Well, absolutely. I love to learn, and I know whether you love to learn or not, we have all been thrown into learning how to do this virtual communication. And Nicola, you have embraced this. I mean, at SAP, you are a technology company. Tell us about how you have been transforming in your meeting delivery.
Yeah, thanks. It's been a journey like it has for all of us. And, we thought it would be shorter term. And now the reality, I think, is dawning on all of us as an industry. This is probably going to even be longer than we thought, that we'd be in the primarily digital world. I do think that we'll stay hybrid for a while, or forever. But that aside, we've transformed many, many events. We had over 1,000 events cancel at SAP for the year, and that many of them have moved online. But the big learning for us, and like Suzanne said, is there is no friction with digital events. Your reach that you're able to create globally, the amount of people that can choose to engage with you is substantial. And so I think I don't know that we had leaned into digital events like Suzanne had said that they were already before, but I know now that the genie has been let out of the bottle, we're certainly going to embrace it for the long term.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. And Janae, tell us, how have you been embracing transformation during this time for RBC Capital Markets?
I think the biggest way we've been embracing it is just picking up on a whole new skill set and understanding that we are not in control of all the things that we used to be, and being able to take a breath and say things are kind of going to happen the way they're going to happen, and just really absorbing this whole new skill set, learning the intricacies of virtual events, where I think we all had a high level understanding. But really just digging in and learning the technology and all the technology has to offer, and everything that we could now provide for our clients, opening up our landscape to more clients, more engagement, and more possibilities.
Yeah, well, you said a great word there. I come from the speaking world, and my keynote address is anything is possible. And boy, we have had to embrace this to find solutions. And later on, we have a segment called Challenge Everything, right? And that is to find opportunities, find the path for better communication and connection. How is anything possible for Suzanne at Yale University? If anything is possible, what are you doing differently in your meetings today?
Well, besides the virtual aspect, learning how to do hybrid events as well. And then, assuming we're all going to come back to the traditional way of doing events, because people love to come together for a purpose, and we'll combine it all together at the end of the day.
Now, Nicola, you have this anything is possible mindset. You do 1,000 events at SAP. I mean, it's just what a career you have in this business, and you had some challenges delivering this virtual world. Tell us a little bit about some of the challenge you had.
Yeah, so Sapphire Now is our largest event, traditionally in Orlando, in the May timeframe for 26,000 of our closest friends, and we reimagined it this year to a global broadcast. So different channels, different countries, local languages, really sophisticated program and programming that we put together. And so going into the event, super excited. We had 129,000 registrations, so more than 500% increase of what we would have in person. And then we had technology challenges the day of, and basically the entire system went down as we were going live with our CEO's keynote around the world. So I mean, we had it was terrible for so many reasons, just the amount of hard work that had gone on it from the team. But, I'm so proud of our team. They were able to pivot so quickly. We were already planning on streaming online anyway, so we just moved everything online the first day. It worked out okay. It worked out fine. It was incredibly painful.
Right, and so people have not done this before. If you're a meeting professional and you've been shy about throwing your virtual events, you've got to get in there. And as we say in show business, the show must go on. And boy, that was a good example from SAP of being brave with 26,000 attendees, and then you have to figure it out. Janae, anything is possible. Okay. How is RBC questioning everything? How are you getting the possibility? What are you doing differently out there?
I mean, we're doing almost everything differently now because virtual events are so different. But one thing that we are doing that is consistent is putting our clients first and our client experience first, and ensuring that that's kind of always top of mind. I think one thing that we are really, really focusing on, and one thing that we've all realized, is how resilient we are. I think as event planners, we kind of get into this mode where we're doing what we're doing and we're going and we're going. And this pivot has shown us that we're really resilient. Our industry is really resilient, and events are going to come back, or they came back immediately, I guess. But at RBC, we're really just kind of focusing on the future and what's ahead, and raising the bar on our technology.
Excellent. And so, for me, here I am digitally. I'm here on this streaming meeting. I'm used to being on the stage, right? And I just can't wait to get back to a live event. When do you ladies see us doing our first live events, even 50 or 100 people in a traditional, maybe one of the big 20 meeting cities in America? Suzanne, what do you think?
I would say the earliest at this point would be spring of 21.
Spring of 21. Nicola, what do you think?
Maybe spring, but small. I think for the first half of the year, we're going to be primarily virtual with maybe small components. Local, I don't think we'll really be able to expect that many people will travel. And I'd say sort of any size. I don't think we're going to get into the 20,000 in 21 at all, actually, quite frankly, I think. But maybe towards the second half of the year, we'll be able to go into the thousands comfortably.
Okay, that sounds good. Janae, what do you think? When do you see yourself getting together for a live event once again?
I think I would agree with that time frame. I think maybe some smaller things in the spring, summer, and local. But I also think that if you have to wear a mask, or if you have to socially distance, then you have to really evaluate, is it worth being in person? Because it does take away from the networking and the real reason why people get together. So I think smaller events toward the mid to late 2021, and then hopefully some bigger ones in 2022.
Well, there you have it. You have to have a vision. And look at this. Look what I've got here. Have you seen one of these? This is one of my inventions here. This is the Invisiball, right? You make it real, all right? You can bounce it, shape it. This is better than silly putty. And today's business leaders had to use improvisation skills. They have to use their imagination more than they ever have. And I've got to show you this Invisiball here. Whoa, check this out. Suzanne, have you ever seen an Invisiball before?
No, I can say I have not.
Of course not. It's invisible. Here, catch it all the way in Yale University. Are you ready? From Orlando, Florida. Here it is, the Invisiball. Get ready. Here it comes. Whoa! Okay. Good catch. All right. Take a look into your Invisiball. Tell me of a meeting vision for the future, real quick.
Meeting vision for the future, a combination of creative and innovative virtual, hybrid, and traditional event experiences.
Oh, okay. I like that. The combination. All right. Throw it to Nicola. SAP. Here comes the Invisiball. Oh, good catch. Is it heavier than you thought it was?
Way lighter.
Don't worry. It's germ-free. Give us a vision. A meeting vision for the future at SAP.
Small, personalized experiences.
Emphasis on personalized. I like that. All right. The more personal, the more connection. Absolutely. All right. Throw it to Janae. RBC. Janae, get ready. Oh, whoa. Good catch. You're a natural. Give it a bounce. She can see the Invisiball. All right. Janae, give us look into your Invisiball. Look into the Invisiball and give me a vision for RBC Capital Markets Meetings 2021.
Client experience, improved technology, and just looking toward the future.
Looking forward to it. That's a very important thing is, we're all unsure about what the future is going to be, but look forward to it. Okay. Anything is possible. We're positive people. We're the meetings business. We lead positivity. We lead connection. All right, Janae, you got that Invisiball. You see that basketball hoop there above my shoulder? All right. All the way from New York to Orlando. Go ahead. Make a shot. Let me see. Go ahead. Make a shot. Little bounce set up. Here it comes. Whoa, man! You are a winner. We're scoring big here with these meeting planners. What a great panel discussion. Ladies, great to be with you. And now it's time for some more mission critical and a word from our sponsor at Versator. Thank you so much.
Introducing Versator, the #1 online platform that allows you to source meeting and event sites virtually. When you are unable to travel to locations, what do? No more still pictures and spec sheets. No more digging through each site to find it. Versator connects planners to properties, allowing for more immersive site experiences from afar. Versator is the site visit your schedule and budget need. Fully guided video tours. One site for all the hotel and venue options. Scheduled live appointments and more. Versator will assist you with research, RFPs, offers, booking, and everything in between. A connected virtual community bringing you the #1 booking experience for today's marketplace. Let the site visit come to you at Versator, your source for virtual site tours.
Hey everybody, welcome back. I hope you're enjoying the show as much as we are. I'm right now in the stunning private dining room at Peak Bar and Restaurant, 1 story above the Edge. As you can see, it's one of the most gorgeous venues right here in New York City. One of the most gorgeous, incredible to use private dining rooms. There's hidden screens behind me, the beautiful wine rack next to me, the mahogany table, it's just absolutely gorgeous. And of course the views, you can't see them off camera right now, but just amazing, more of those amazing skyline views. So, with that said, I want to talk to you about something that is very near and dear to my heart. You know, those of you who watched the first episode, that Mission Critical and the Knowledge Exchange are all about supporting the hospitality industry. Now, most of you are enjoying your lunches along with us today. As you know, we partnered with Grubhub for this episode to feed 1,000 lucky viewers. And you see, for us, it was so much more than just feeding 1,000 viewers, though. It was about supporting 1,000 local hospitality businesses, because that is what is in our heart. We need to support hospitality. We need to support restaurants and hotels and help all these industries that we rely on so much to get back on their feet. And if you think the 1,000 that we supported today was a lot, Grubhub supports 300,000 local hospitality businesses on a daily basis by providing accessibility for online ordering, delivery services, and more. On top of that, they do this for everything from individual orders to large catering to even reimagining the remote workforce and virtual events in the wake of the pandemic. So, to talk a little bit more about this, I'm going to turn it over to our friends over at Grubhub.
Thank you so much for the warm introduction, Joe. We really appreciate being here today, and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Mission Critical, hosted by the Knowledge Exchange. My name is Heather Gerbaski from our corporate accounts team, and we're proud to be sponsors of this event today. I've spent the last several months working with meeting planners across the country who are struggling with creating an experiential component for a memorable digital event, and I'm pleased to be here to give you a short overview of how we have been addressing these challenges at Grubhub. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you're in New York City, you know us as Seamless, and that's where our corporate business started in 1999. Today, Seamless is a brand under the Grubhub umbrella, serving customers and businesses, thousands of local takeout restaurants in over 4,000 cities. We work with thousands of clients to serve nearly 24 million active diners. I work on the corporate team, so we simplify the process of feeding virtual events. We work with planners like you to feed thousands of hungry guests while they're attending events and meetings. Right now, that means at their homes, which is where I'm currently at. This can be for webinars, conferences, client meetings, and more. It's pretty simple. The meeting planner provides attendees with a budget, rules and restrictions such as an ordering time frame, and then gets a single detailed invoice with all orders consolidated automatically at checkout. We make it easy to feed guests nationwide, allowing attendees to place their own orders, and you'll only pay for what is actually ordered. Throughout the whole experience, you'll have access to Grubhub's VIP corporate support. I know 1,000 lucky Mission Critical attendees have been given a Grubhub meal credit to use. For those of you who have already placed an order, you've actually experienced our corporate product firsthand. Even as states begin to open up, it's unclear when mass gatherings will happen again. And from talking with some of you, I've heard many planners say virtual events are here to stay. Whether you've had a digital event strategy in the past, or if this is something entirely new for you, the landscape has changed. Digital events are going to be a huge component of the event space moving forward, and we are all learning what that means. From happy hours, sales dinners, product launches, lunch and learns, road shows, webinars, and conferences, you can turn events of all kinds into an engaging digital experience. The planners we work with offer meal credits in a few different ways. They offer them one before an event to drive registration, either to all registrants or a limited number will receive a meal credit. They also offer meal credits during an event to drive attendance. When attendees log into the session, they'll get a meeting code to use for ordering. Or after the event to drive engagement, say as a reward for filling out a post-event survey. There are a variety of ways event planners have incorporated meals to create a truly delightful digital experience. One example is virtual lunch and learns. Acumeta, a cloud ERP technology company, had a thought leadership lunch and learn series, which they had hosted monthly in their office for prospects and other industry leaders. This was a key component of their marketing strategy, and their goals depended on hosting these events. When offices closed and gatherings stopped, they decided to pivot this series online. For the first 2 months, they invited an engaging industry leader to present at lunchtime, and it drove high registration, but they needed a creative way to boost attendance and engagement. And that's where the meal component came in. They offered attendees a meal credit and set up ordering permissions so it could only be ordered for delivery during the actual event. Acumatica started offering a meal credit as a way to encourage leads to actually attend their event. I mean, after all, a key component to a lunch and learn is actually lunch. So here's a quote from their CMO, Todd Wells, about his experience. Once we began offering a meal credit on Grubhub Corporate, our attendees increased and we heard a high volume of positive feedback from our guests. Now our lunch and learns are providing the results they were pre-COVID. Another story I'd like to share is one directly from a client who needed a way to stand out from all the other webinars and increase registration so that they could hit their lead goals. Here's what they said. Grubhub has increased attendance for virtual prospect/customer webinars by 120%. The offer of a free lunch from their restaurant of choice delivered to their desired location in a secure and convenient way is what our attendees appreciate during times like this. And this was from an enterprise account executive at AppZen. Event planners love to customize options most. And here are some of the features we've seen a lot of our clients and meeting planners use. So the first thing is budget. How much do you want to offer your attendees? Is it a one-time budget or a reoccurring one for a few-day event? You have the power to set this up and control it here. Ordering window. Only want to let attendees order during the actual event? We allow you to customize the time attendees can order and when food can be delivered. As we mentioned earlier, many clients only allow guests to order after they attended the event to reduce the risk of people registering just for the free meal. We also have the ability to restrict some prohibited items. We had mentioned a happy hour that one client hosted before, but if you don't want attendees to be able to order certain items like alcohol, you have the ability to restrict this under ordering permissions. And then meeting or cost codes and expense comments. So we have several different captures that we can utilize at our corporate account. One client uses the meeting or cost code and expense comments feature for both a strategic and reconciliation purpose. They're making the field required and telling stipend recipients to input their company name into the field that populates into a CSV report, which allows them to adjust their strategy to know who is ordering, what and when, and then making it also very easy for accounting to reconcile the bill at the end of the month. We've heard a lot of positive feedback about these features, and I'd like to share one last testimonial from a client. Grubhub has allowed us to think outside the box when it comes to building customer relationships. With everyone working remote, we can still host lunches and events and make customers feel valued and included. And that's from Jennifer. She's a marketing coordinator at Claris Communications. So it looks like we're about out of time. On behalf of the whole Grubhub Seamless corporate team, I wanted to thank you again so much for your time today. We hope the programs and tips we ran through got you thinking about how to drive engagement with your digital events. If you'd like to find out more about how to add a meal component to your virtual event plan, or would like to brainstorm about some ideas, we'd love to talk to you. Our consultants talk to meeting planners just like you every day, and we'd be more than happy to talk through your goals and how to make this work for you. So feel free to email us at officeorders@grubhub.com or visit corporate.grubhub.com to learn more. Thank you so much for your time today, and please stay safe and healthy.
This is Houston, contact with a test 1. Okay, we checked all 4 systems.
Thank you, Heather. I'm here right now in what's called the Journey to the Edge. It's part of the interactive immersive experience that awaits you when you actually come down here to the venue. This is part of the tour. It was an infinity effect room. As you enter, to head to the elevators, to head up to the observation deck. It's also the perfect spot to introduce our next special guest, and he's a gentleman that we are absolutely thrilled and excited beyond belief to have joining us today. This gentleman is a visionary, he's an interactive pioneer, he's a virtual reality expert. He's been seen everywhere from Broadway to the boardrooms of companies like Warner Brothers, and now he's coming to us live. Ladies and gentlemen, with our own John Williams, an American guest, from Microsoft, Mr. Bob Bejan.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks again, Joe and Grubhub. It's really a pleasure to have them as a partner here with our program. I hope you're all enjoying your lunches. I, for sure, myself, in a little while will be grabbing my lunch. And please do share whatever you have ordered on Instagram. Our account is mission.critical. Once again, mission.critical on Instagram. Love to see the photos of the different cuisines and meals and groups and people, whoever watching this together or wherever you are. I'd love to see the foods and the different things that you're doing and supporting close to 1,000 different venues across the country for lunch today, and putting a little something in your stomach as you enjoy our show here. This afternoon's next segment is truly an honor to have Bob Bejan, the Corporate Vice President of Global Events, Production, Studios, and Marketing Community over at Microsoft. He's truly a legend, and as one of my colleagues in the co-producing likes to call him, the maestro. Bob, really greatly appreciate your time here with us today, and thank you for joining us on Mission Critical. So my first question was, back in March of this year, it seems like a lifetime ago, Microsoft had decided to take all their live events and make them virtual through June of 2021. Right. What gave you at the time that insight to make that decision so far out?
You know, I'd love to say that what we had was this incredibly wise insight. I think honestly, what was driving it was a management challenge that, you know, the team had, and that I will say personally had as a manager of this events team working at Microsoft. And that was, you could see that we were grinding to inaction because all of this debate, every meeting would kind of devolve into like, should we be doing a backup for the live thing? Should we be doing a digital thing? What are they going to, is Mobile World Congress going to cancel or not? And this kind of thing. And it just seemed so clear to me at least, and then my boss, my manager, Chris Capicella, that, you know, the only kind of way through it would be to try to jujitsu the terrible situation and try and turn it into an opportunity. And, you know, when we were brainstorming that, I kind of said to Chris, you know, like, you know, if we wanted to be radical, what we would do is we would just say, hey, forget all the live events and just swim into the torpedo of that and say, okay, this is going to be the year where we're going to decide how we're going to work on being masters at this new emerging medium. And, you know, Chris kind of went, wow, that's an interesting idea. Then, you know, maybe 3 days later, we were really starting to look at a lot of the data that was starting to even forecast even then that we were going to be entering a pretty significant, you know, recession, and we needed to save OpEx. And then we did kind of some back of the envelope thing and said, hey, you know, we could probably save a couple $100 million and focus on, you know, getting better at digital delivery at the same time. And then it felt like a no-brainer. You know, then it felt like this thing that just released creativity and innovation, because we could say, hey, very clearly, we're going this way. And, you know, stop worrying about that. Let's really.
You made that decision right at the beginning and just went with it, and, you know, took the Band-Aid off and did it. And I commend you all for that. A hard decision, I'm sure, and a lot of comments and a lot of you know, raised eyebrows. But I commend you all for making it that early in the process. Do you see the timeline remaining in June 21, or do you still, you know, beat that where we are now? It's so fluid.
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, it's funny. We've been having this conversation a lot. Like sitting here now in, you know, kind of the end of July, I feel so much more comfortable with the decision than I did even back then. And I think we all feel that way. And in many ways, you know, you look at some of the announcements that are happening, CES today, you know, a couple of weeks ago, that's out, an event out in March, you know, Amazon saying that they're not going to send any of their people back to work until, you know, kind of, you know, the 1st of July next year. So it feels to us at least like, boy, I think we may be at the inner marker for you know, destination events and, you know, large scale meetings by this time next year.
Yeah. You recently hosted for Microsoft a 4,000 person virtual event with 800 breakouts. I can just imagine what that virtual site visit must have been like for those breakout rooms. What was the reaction from the attendees in doing that many breakouts and having that many people on a virtual event? And what was it like to duplicate live into the virtual with that many people for you all?
Well, that was one of our very first events. That was the MVP summit that we did, I think back in March. And it was a great learning for us for a couple of reasons. One, that 800 kind of event session number is much more akin to what we did in the live space, right? We would do, Ignite last year, we did almost 900 sessions. So the big learning there was a couple things. One, we could do these sessions effectively in the digital space, and that was a big eye opener back then. But the bigger lesson was that, people did not have the tolerance to really absorb in the same way they do in the live world. And the insight there was really starting to internalize that all of us that make these kind of multi-day destination events, it's kind of incumbent upon us to build enough original content for the event itself to justify the ticket price.
That's right. Just to get them in wherever the venue is or the destination, right? Yeah.
That's right. And now the kind of the change that we're seeing is that a digital event doesn't have to do that, right? Doesn't cost anything. You don't have to buy a ticket. And so now, instead of creating a big, huge body of content, the event really becomes the Kickstarter for what you want your audience, your customers, your partners to do the rest of the year, right? And we have so much content at Microsoft with platforms like MS Learn, which is where all of our learning paths are for technical training and skilling, that you don't have to build 5 days worth of content that you get on your own in Orlando. You can build much less sessions. And in fact, these large scale shows that we're doing now, we do about 72 sessions.
Whoa.
And we rotate them around the 24-hour cycle so that they're playing locally in markets around the world, so you don't have to get up in the middle of the night. But those sessions, rather than being like an hour or 75 minutes long, are much shorter, half hour.
Right.
And they deliver the new information that's important, but more importantly, they deliver the roadmap for the other materials, the other courses, the stuff we want you to do the other 363 days a year that the event isn't happening.
Interesting. Recent article you wrote in Fast Company, you mentioned 8 steps to having a successful virtual transition, and a number of which we're applying here today on Mission Critical. So thank you for those. What do you find the easiest to accomplish on that list, or maybe the hardest from that list of 8?
I think I'm going to pick the hardest.
Yep.
But it's at the same time, in my opinion, absolutely the most important, and that's this notion of internalizing that you cannot simply translate the events we were doing in the live world and try and replicate them in the digital world. Exactly. And there's a couple reasons for it. One, technology doesn't do a very good job at replicating, kind of expo floors and booths and that kind of thing, regardless of all the agencies that are trying to show you how to.
Everyone's trying.
It doesn't do it.
Right.
But I think here's the other thing. It's a much more emotionally driven insight, I think. And that is that you don't want to be creating something that you're only going to do second best at the very best, because it just reminds every one of your customers and attendees of the thing they don't have.
Right.
And this idea of counter programming and really reinventing, embracing the medium that we're in now and doing what it does well, and really kind of saying over and over to yourself, you cannot translate, you have to reinvent. That's the hardest thing to do, because all of us who have been making these experiences for any period of time, it's so well ingrained. The triggers, the emotional triggers, the intellectual triggers of live event making are so powerful, right? Because they are live.
Right.
That breaking out of that is the thing that I find with the teams we're working on it all the time. We're continuing reminding ourselves, kind of just beating your head.
And it's definitely there right now in this virtual world. It's definitely beating the head. You were speaking to it just a few moments ago, so maybe piggyback it. With going to virtual events, and everybody's doing it today, do you find it requires a different skill set to manage a virtual event versus a live event?
Yeah, for sure. It's everything from the vernacular, because the truth is, you know, you're spending a lot more time in what are television control rooms or video control rooms and shooting stages. And so it's even the vernacular of moving from a theatrically staged kind of experience to a cinematically staged experience, right? One where instead of presenting to an audience, you're looking at the camera lens and having a one-on-one conversation. And all of those things require, you know, changes of habit, changes of, you know, kind of process. And we found that we literally had to kind of change the way the names of the meetings we're doing for production, from core production meetings to writers' rooms meetings, just to trigger in everybody's mind that we're making and working in a different medium. And so that's been a real eye opener about, you know, just in terms of, you know, like change management and the work you have to do and the energy you have to expend to get people out of the habits that they're so used to.
And it's a lot of habits that we were out of and now we're into, and the, you know, wearing the Oxford shirt and the pajama pants and the kids and all those other challenges, or on holiday. There's a lot going on. Today being July 29th, and the Live Coalition is making this big push to get the government to help support the live events. And you have hotels, you have venues, production, catering, who've all pivoted during COVID-19. Is there any message or insight you would give to the, you know, the people in live events that aren't doing live events right now? Anything that you would say, hey, this is what I would share with you?
Well, I mean, I think, look, maybe on two fronts. One is that there is a certain amount of acceptance that I think we all have to process around. There's going to be this period of time where we're just not going to have that live option.
Right.
And I think, you know, for Microsoft and the Microsoft team, and what I'm so proud of them about is that people really embrace this idea of like, hey, it's an opportunity to learn a lot of new skills. And increasingly, as more and more corporations kind of move into the digital event space, there's going to be a need for people who understand how to project manage, how to produce, how to walk this kind of new line of what I think of as interactive television more than events.
Yes.
So that's one. The second thing is I think people that are, you know, working in the hotel business, the hospitality business, food and beverage, and so many of the things that are so reliant on live events happening. The shifting of the mindset from destination events as we've known them before, 10, 20, 15,000 people at a time, to more of a, you know, almost a tree metaphor. Like if you think of the digital kind of world as being the trunk and the branches, like the leaves are going to come back in local and regional execution, small groups at a time.
Very much so.
And so this idea of how can you turn a live, you know, venue, hotel, ballroom into a node for the enhancement of a digital experience? Because I think what's going to happen is these digital experiences are going to continue to be the center of gravity for some period of time.
So. Yeah,
that's really the opportunity, I think, in terms of catching the upside when the live, you know, when the live component starts to come back to fruition, rather than how do I kind of make my convention center completely sanitary and make it safe to be 10,000 people, because that just feels like a lot longer away.
And it is, and I think you bring up a really good point. The safety and all that will take care of itself, and we'll get to that, and that's the lawyers and liability insurance. But the other part is how to make that venue and that destination the draw again, like you mentioned. Final question. We've all been forced to embrace this new virtual very quickly, just like Microsoft. Recently, and I quote you, it's felt like a 2 years transformation in 8 weeks. And I think we all can relate in the audience. I'm sure a lot of people are going, yes, like 2 years in 8. What do you think the next year is going to look like, or the next 8 weeks? Because that's what it feels like right now.
Well, one of the things that has been super heartening for us in terms of getting a jump on this and really being focused, right, and not thinking about live events at all and just thinking about these digital events, is it feels like we're learning so much and getting better with every show. And we just got, literally right before I got on the phone with you, we were in a meeting talking about the results and looking through the data from last week and these 2 big shows we did. And there really is no data that says, oh my God, you're moving in the wrong direction. Everything is saying we're moving in the right direction. And so to us, we really feel like the next year is laid out for us because we have this structure. We have an architecture for what we think the event should be, and kind of a definition for what the component parts, the Lego pieces that you can put together to make these experiences. And so now it feels like the next 12 months is how much can we do with those pieces? How much can we make them better? How much can we experiment with them? Because we feel like we have the palette defined. And so for us, really, it's just going to be, improving the processes, improving kind of the role definitions, and and really understanding the evolutions that we're doing. And then what does it mean to, kind of create a year's worth of interactive programming, in this digital space?
It's a lot. I really appreciate your time. It's been a pleasure to have you on Mission Critical. And I do believe, and I do hope that a lot of the things that you've shared with the audience today has given a lot of comfort in many ways, or insight to them in this process that we're all going through together. And so I want to say thank you. And as my colleague said, Maestro, so wonderful job, Bob. And I really appreciate you being here today. And we look forward to seeing you again on a future episode of Mission Critical, or once I get out to Seattle again. Now I'd like to hand it over to Gio on our next segment on Mission Critical Live.
04 and King with a go. Roger, you're loud and clear here also.
Hello, I'm Giovanni Lavera, speaker and entertainer, coming to you from Orlando, Florida. And today I'm with Scott Cullether and Christina McCubry, and they are the husband and wife co-founding team of the company Invent, and a live storytelling branding and very powerful stuff. They've written a book titled Challenge Everything. And in a world that seems as challenging us at every turn, they flip it on its head, and they're finding opportunities through the mess by challenging everything. Scott and Christina, great to be with you on Mission Critical.
Gio, it's a pleasure to be with you here today as well.
Hi there.
As meeting creators, what are the specific traits that we need? What are the questions that we need to be asking in the meeting planning world?
So we started to Invent our business in 2008 in the last economic recession. We fortunately didn't have a pandemic at that time, but when we started the business in the Marcoms industry, the meeting planning event industry is in Marcoms, and meaning the first budgets to get cut, the last to come back, we had to set out with a challenger mindset and a challenger spirit. So we took on this idea that if we were going to go out and compete against some of the larger, more flat-footed agencies, that we had to develop very quickly a challenger mindset. And 12 years later, as one of the most successful agencies in our sector, we challenge everything. And we challenge the way we hire, we challenge the way we work with our clients.
We respectfully challenge our clients. We challenge each other on the creative process. So we hold that challenge everything mantra into all the different areas of our business.
And we think right now more than ever, it's critical for brands and organizations and the meeting planning and the event planning industry to basically take on this challenger mindset. We're having to do so many things so differently than the way we've always done them. So we're actually being forced in many respects to challenge everything.
Yep.
Okay, so what are the specific traits that meeting planners have to have in challenging everything? What are the key questions that they need to be asking?
Yeah, I would say for the most part, you need some grit and you need to be ready to learn something new. We've seen a lot of our clients that made the shift into the virtual world really quickly. We're very fortunate that we have a lot of experience in that, where the virtual component was an extension of the large live events we did. So we had been preparing for this moment unknowingly, frankly. And so we feel very fortunate about that. So we were ready to support our clients. What I find interesting is some of them jumped right in, and we're in the middle now of producing some of the largest virtual events for some of our biggest clients. And then you have the ones that we're just hearing from now that are like, oh, I guess this isn't going anywhere for a while. And I would say that you need the confidence and jump in, because this is going to be the way it will be for quite some time.
And then I would just quickly add that I think for the events industry right now, we have an animal, a spirit animal at Invent called Bowie Badger. And he's a combination of David Bowie and a honey badger. So David Bowie arguably is one of the most creative musicians, artists on the planet. That combined with the tenacity and the spirit and the grit, as Christina points out, of a honey badger that will badger your way through anything. Yeah. So if you can bring those two traits together, for us, that is a successful event planning, meeting planning combination.
Yeah, and I would also say to them, one thing we've really learned quickly is that just as a venue is so important in selecting and producing an event, selecting the right platform, sort of like the digital version, it's the virtual version of a venue, is also important, but it's not the most important. The most important thing is you still have a story to tell. It's still an event, and it's still live, frankly. It's just not in person. So all of those things that meeting planners and those in our industry that have done so well for so long still apply, even though it's virtual. And that's really important to keep in mind. It's not just a platform.
Okay, you guys are creatives. Why don't you give us a nugget
on good days
on how we can be more engaging in this new expanded online meeting world?
We've had a tremendous amount of success in the last 3.5 or 4 months, designing online events that basically combine the best of what you can do at a live event, and you can only do at a live event, with the best of what you can do at home and only do at home, and then using the technology to bring those two components to life. So if you were to look at that in a Venn diagram, you'd see 3 circles: best of home, best of live, and best of virtual. And you collide those together, and all of a sudden you have you eliminate the screen fatigue and this stuff that we're all involved in right now. And if you can create experiences where people can break away in their own homes and include their family members, or as we like to say, their fur babies, and whatever, and then combine it with their colleagues, that's a winning combination for us.
Yeah, so it's a matter of taking the experience and not making it a constant on-screen experience. So everyone step away. Everyone go make the same meal of whatever recipe was delivered to you. Now we're all going to come back and we're going to come together and have a meal together. Things like that, where you're not literally having 10 hours of screen time a day, because that's just not manageable.
On-air hosts like yourself, Gio, that brings something to the party. Learn how to do, even though you guys aren't supposed to share your tricks to the normal people, learn how to do a magic trick.
Yeah.
Learn how to perform magic.
Yeah, we've had magicians sit in on virtual meetings, and it's great.
Those kinds of things are really engaging. And
While creativity and content are the king and queen of the meeting planning space, and it is such a wonderful time to be a creator, because while other people are seeing limitations and that we're not able to connect, it is the creators who are starting to see the blending of live events in person and the digital space. And there's so much more to be unearthed, as you say, in a phygital world that is physical and digital. It's the combination.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Well, Scott and Christina, what a joy to be with you. Thank you for being with us on this episode of Mission Critical.
Thank you, Gio. Pleasure to be here today. Thank you.
Well, folks, there you have another exciting segment. And now we go to Nashville for some more of John Rich.
This is Houston, contact with a test 1. Okay, we checked all 4 systems.
Hey guys, it's John Rich again. I hope you've enjoyed this show. And I want to give a big thank you to American Guest and Mission Critical. It's awesome to be connected with you guys, and hope we get to do a lot of fun stuff together in the future. How about one more song? So a lot of things been going on in our country and in the world of music. And unfortunately, we lost a buddy of mine, and I call him the grandfather of modern country music, Mr. Charlie Daniels. We lost him very, very recently. And I want to sing one of his songs. He loved Redneck Riviera too, and loved our troops. So we'll dedicate this one to Mr. Charlie and all the patriots out there. Here we go. People say I'm no good, crazy as a loon. I get up in the morning, get down in the afternoon. Kinda like my old blue tick hound, I like laying round in the shade. And I ain't got no money, but I dang sure got it made. And I ain't asking nobody for nothing if I can't get it on my own. Hey, if you don't like the way I'm living, just leave guest, Mission Critical, John Rich signing off. Look forward to seeing you in the future. God bless, guys. Stay safe.
04 and King with a go. Roger, you're loud and clear here also.
Thanks, John. A very nice tribute to a country music legend. Hi again, Debbie Garcia from Versatour. While downtown in Nashville, I had the opportunity to take a peek inside Redneck Riviera earlier today. Check it out. It's a really cool venue to check out for your next event in Nashville. I have with me Butch Spearden, President and CEO of the Nashville CVC. Butch, would you like to share a few words with our audience?
Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome American guests to Music City. We're honored that you would create your virtual program in our city, and we just wish we could all do it in person. In these troubled times, we are keenly aware of how important meetings are to our industry, about 42% of our business. And if we're going to get it back, we've got to be smart, safe, and careful. To that end, we've created a program called Good to Go. Over 700 businesses, restaurants, attractions, hotels, bars, you name it, have signed up to be part of our program that keeps everybody informed on the latest up-to-date information from the CDC, from the Metro Health Department, and we are being guided by Vanderbilt Health. This program is to make sure that we are all doing everything possible when it is time to come back and visit. When it is time, we're going to be ready. We hope you'll come see us. We hope you'll take a look around Nashville during this virtual program, and we can't wait to see you in person. Thanks.
Thanks, Butch. We look forward to events coming back to Nashville very soon. Producing a program such as Mission Critical is no easy feat. Bob Kelly and the KPG creative team have been hard at work in the shadows. Here's a little bit about KPG Creative and what they can do for your virtual, hybrid, and live events.
Hi, I'm Bob Kelly, and I'm the executive producer at KPG Creative and AV Matters, and the director of today's event. We're excited to be partnered with The Knowledge Exchange, American Guest, Giovanni Experiences, and everyone who participated today to share how we can elevate your next event and transform the same old into something new. You know, when I think about making an online event successful, I think in terms of the show, shorter segments, engaging with the audience, and most of all, valuable content. Sure, the technology behind the production is important, and that's what we do. But those are only the tools. Understanding the objectives and the audience journey should always come first. That's where we can help. So don't be afraid of going virtual or concerned about platforms and widgets and virtual questions. We've got the answers, and we can guide you through it.
Engaging an audience is hard, especially while distancing. Many things have changed, but what hasn't changed is the need to bring people together to share ideas. We've all heard that content is king, but engagement is the kingdom. Keeping your audience watching and involved takes more than a webcam. It takes skilled and experienced storytellers and engagement pros like us. From the boardroom to the boardroom, we have the tools and knowledge to help you engage your audience and look your best, no matter what your meeting size. If you're thinking about a virtual event, a hybrid virtual live event, or when you're ready to get back to normal, we're here for you, and we can help. And we can deliver engagement.
Thanks for joining us today, and I'm going to send it back to Joe Lara to wrap things up. Ready, remote one? Take one.
Hey everybody, welcome back. I hope you've enjoyed the journey with us as much as we've enjoyed having you. We've went from the top of the world here in New York City all the way down to Music City, USA in Nashville. We've talked to some amazing hotels, some amazing vendors, some amazing, incredible thought leaders at the top of the industry. Thank you again to Bob Bejan for joining us. Thank you to Smith Travel Research and to all of our panel, our esteemed planners that joined us. Before I leave you today, I do have a couple of surprises for you. The first one being that we've partnered with one of the most cutting-edge tech companies out of Europe to develop an actual official virtual gift bag. So you will all be receiving links to your VIP bags within the next day at some point. I'm hoping it'll get out today, but if not, you will have it by first thing tomorrow morning. Secondly, and more importantly, I am thrilled to announce the kickoff of our answer to the boring virtual exhibit hall with Mission Critical 24/7. MC 24/7 is a living, breathing, around-the-clock, 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week way for you to network, engage, and connect with new vendors for your programs. The link, as you can see, is off to the side of the screen. You can click that ad. It'll take you right in. I'm standing by in the Mission Critical room. We have a lot of other great vendors standing by as well. We're also going to be running a contest for today only to go along with the kickoff. We're going to be giving away a $200 Grubhub credit and a $100 Amazon gift card and a couple other prizes that we'll be announcing. The way it works basically is that for every person you either meet with or book an appointment with, you're going to get one entry. So if you meet with 5 vendors, you're going to get 5 entries. Or if you book appointments with 5 vendors, you're going to get 5 entries. All right, so I hope to see you all with us for episode 3 when we have one of the biggest, most industry-shattering, most gas-worthy, incredible moments that has ever been broadcast in the meetings and events industry. And I know I'm talking that up big, but believe me, it is. It's one of those moments that's going to stick right up there in your memory with things like Luke, I'm your father. So I thank you again, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time, I'm Joe Lara, and that's a wrap for us.
04 and King with a go. Roger, you're loud and clear here also.